welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.
And absent, we need God. Because only God can bring us out of this mess.
Good morning. My name's Doni Glover. In it to win it for the long haul, baby. Woo. You know, I'm thinking about the song Diane Reeves. What's it called? Better Days. You ever heard that song? Better Days if you can just make it through the night, baby. The Christian folk, the church folk say that weeping may endure for a night, but oh, how joy cometh in the morning. What am I referring to? Oh my God, I had this incredible headache through the night. Could not sleep. Ended up having to go to the gas station early this morning to get some Advil PM. Oh my God, felt like somebody was kicking me in my head. But I'm telling you this to give you the backdrop to this story. So I'm coming from the gas station and I see this man pull up. Now there's a white homeless man talking about the gas station in North McCullough. He's laid out, laid resting. First it looked like it was high, but who knows what he was doing at North McCullough. But he was resting, laid down right beside the gas station. And there was an older lady out there. And she looked like she wasn't supposed to be out there either. Standing around talking about she needed a hat. She had money. And I don't know why she was there, but she needed a hat. And then out of the clear blue, this white guy pulls up. And the older black lady spoke to him. I think she called him the wrong name. But apparently this man had been, he goes through the neighborhood, he gets people into treatment, and his name is Nick. And I want to give a shout out to him, to Nick, who was getting people into treatment. And I was very impressed with that. And so I mentioned this gentleman, Nick. You're too late, next time, okay? Because I can be hard on, or let me just say, I can be frank and honest about the whole situation with the reshuffling of the cards in Sandtown, because I don't even call it gentrification, not when a lot of us have abandoned the community. But nonetheless, this young man was out there getting people into treatment, anybody. And I just want to tell him that we acknowledge him. I think his name is Nick. But let's get to our guest. We have the Prince with us today. Prince Adebeo, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
I am good.
Thank you,
Prince,
for having me.
Prince, you are from Nigeria?
That's correct.
Okay, Yoruba, Igbo, Edo, Akko, Hausa.
Hello?
Can you hear me okay, Prince?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so what peoples are you from? Igbo, Yoruba, Edo, Akko, Hausa?
So I'm a Nigerian. I'm from Ondo State. I'm a Nigerian from Ondo State. I live in Abuja, in northern Nigeria. But my parents are from western part of Nigeria.
Good. Now, Prince, you are running for, and welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So you are running for office.
That's correct.
What office are you running for?
running for the president of Nigeria.
We are honored to have you, Prince. What
Thank
can we
you.
do to support you here in the United States?
Basically, to spare some thoughts for us, to at least what you are doing now, to listen to us, to get to know what we are doing in Nigeria, to pray for us, and to prevail on the U.S. government and other communities on true, credible, free and fair election in Nigeria. Because if Nigeria is able to have a popularly elected government that comes from the free will of the people, many of the problems Nigeria is facing will be taken care of by Nigeria and Nigerians.
So I wanted to know, can I ask you a bit about the history of Nigeria?
Yeah, you're free.
So many of us here in the United States, we don't have as great a knowledge of the globe as we should. So when you look at the whole earth, because of so many things, colonialism, when you look at slavery, can you help us understand the significance of Nigeria to the continent of Africa? For instance, you have more people in your country than any other African nation, correct? And it's 53, 54 nations.
Well, Nigeria is in population more than just about 60% of all Americans in the world, just Nigerians alone. So for Nigeria, the population of Nigeria is up to the population of 35 states in America. So we are like the 35 of the 50 states in America. And we are 210 million people in Nigeria as we speak. And if you see if any car that has 4 guys in it or 4 people, one must be a Nigerian if they are black. So 1 in every 4 black people in the world is a Nigerian. So we are a significant population of black people in the world. We are the headquarters of black people in the world. And it will interest you that we make contributions all over the world. 75% of all black doctors in America are Nigerians. So if you have 4 black doctors, more than 3 will be Nigerians. So that's how we are. We're all over the place. Back home, we have diversity as well within Nigeria. Almost every black population has a representation in Nigeria. And in West Africa, we are more than 60% of the population. So it's a major player, and we are a great friend and ally of the United States from day one. There has never been any dispute or problem or disagreement between Nigeria in terms of foreign policy and the United States. So we are cool.
What is the biggest challenge in Nigeria?
The biggest challenge in Nigeria is the ability to have a good government, because almost every other thing we have. Every country must have its own problems. Unfortunately for us, ours has to be the one we need the most, a good government. And that's the challenge that I'm facing. That's the challenge that other Nigerians are facing. An ability for us to now organize ourselves together and give ourselves a good government. If you have a good government in Nigeria, it will show on the street of Baltimore. It will show in Texas. It will show anywhere in the world, because you will know that it's a great country run by black people that is making waves in the world, and you will not see so many of the problems that you see for black people anywhere in the world. So it's That's a major challenge, and it's a challenge that is the destiny of this generation to solve that problem. And once we solve that problem, the tide will rise for every black person on the face of the earth. Because you will have a reference that you can say, well, you see, black people are running that place. See how glorious it is. Until that happens, there will always be question as to whether black people can actually organize anything. And that's the challenge.
Of course we can.
Certainly we can.
But we have a common enemy.
Yeah, we do have a common enemy, but the enemy we need to deal with now is the enemy within. Because many of the challenges that we have are challenges that we can decide not to have. We can decide not to steal our own money. We can decide to run.
That's where the challenge is, because in normal situations, you would look out for your brothers and sisters.
Yes.
But what do you do when one of your brothers or one of your sisters is working for the other guy, for the other team?
Yes. You see, what we can do first is that whatever circumstance you find yourself, there is no excuse for not being true to your people. Because this independence, freedom, and all these other virtues of liberty are not to be taken for granted. I know how many years the South African brothers and sisters struggle to be able to have a say in their country. And Martin Luther King did not march for fun. He marched for to have a seat at the table. And when you have a country like Nigeria, that there is no doubt that the black people are in charge, Africans are in charge, Nigerians are in charge, we should and we will make a good example of that. And that's very important. And that is the focus that we have now. There is no excuse. No matter the history, no matter the circumstance, there's no excuse for why we cannot apply our resources to keep our kids in school, to maintain safe neighborhoods. There's no excuse not to be able to account for the resources of the country, to run free, fair, and credible elections among ourselves. There's no excuse not to be able to pave roads and build infrastructure. There's no excuse not to do housing and keep our people in good condition. There's no excuse to allow hunger or starvation or anything to happen on our continent. These are no excuses that we can get away with. There are other challenges that we have with the rest of the world. There are other challenges we have in terms of strategic positioning, people working against us, but there is no excuse why I will be president of Nigeria and I want to have a big house by the Potomac in Washington, D.C. There's no excuse for me to wire all the money of my country to Europe or Saudi Arabia or Dubai. Those are not excuses that anyone should be having at this time. There could be other excuses in terms of strategic competition. All countries of the world, even though they say they are friends and allies, are in competition with one another. But your domestic affairs is your responsibility to look after your people and to look out for them. And that is why I'm coming to run for president, so that I can remove Nigeria from the list of countries that have these elementary problems, basic problems that civilized countries should not have in this age and time.
Why have you been having problems? Some people are selfish.
Yeah, some people are selfish and some people are not ethical. And you need a governing philosophy to be able to run a country. You need to remove self from the equation. You need to be able to live for your country and, if possible, to die for your country. And that's important for leadership. You need to lead by example, and you need to know that there is no advantage in having 2 limousines purchased with government money when you could lift 40,000 kids out of abject poverty. You need to know that sending your children to Harvard, Stanford in America is not as important as having standard universities running in your country. And these are things you need to know. You need to know how to lift your people up. And that's the only reason why you can be in leadership. You cannot be in leadership for other reasons.
Prince Adebayo, I've been wanting to ask this question for many, many years. Do you have the ability to take your natural oil, the petroleum in the ground, to a refinery? Or is Nigeria dependent on others to get the oil, the petroleum to market?
Okay, it's two ways. The best petroleum engineers in the world are Nigerians, period. There is no place in the world where petroleum engineering, petroleum technology, petroleum production, refinery, everything is taking place that you won't find Nigerians at the top. Whether it's Gulf of Bayou, whether it's Texas, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's anywhere in the Middle East, whether it's in Europe, Nigerians are the top guys. However, there has been a clique in the Nigerian petroleum industry that makes money by making sure these things don't work. And many of the highly competent Nigerians have had to leave the country to go and work for other companies and other countries. But this is changing because the largest petroleum refinery in the world being built at this point is built in Lagos, Nigeria. So with this, we have been able to take care of that challenge, but much of the oil is still being stolen by people in government in collaboration with their foreign gangs that are working with them in order to deprive the people of Nigeria the benefit of the oil that is being produced in Nigeria. 80% of oil produced in Nigeria is stolen by government officials and their collaborators. That I can tell you. But
So
within Nigeria, there's the capacity, there's engineering, technical, and other capacity within Nigeria. And we have resources. We have 4 refineries right now. They're not running well. But the 5th refinery, built by a private company, a Nigerian company, is the largest that is being built right now anywhere in the world, in Lagos.
You know, Prince, when I was a young boy and it was snow, we couldn't wait because we would be out of school, but also I got a chance to make money shoveling snow. But the first place that I had to shovel was my own house, my own steps.
That's true.
The engineers that come out of Nigeria, the first place they must help is home.
That is true.
I can't have you going over there before you do right here. How do we become more self-sufficient? You have so much power if we just work together. I do not, as an American, I do not like to see the news because the news never tells our story. They always tell our story through other eyes. And we have to change that. We need our own. God gave us everything we need to be successful. It's just a couple of people. It's a few bad elements that mess it up for everybody. Is it the same there, Prince?
That is still the same because Nigerians are capable and willing to work at home. But you want to use your talent. I'm an attorney, for example. I work in Nigeria, I practice in the US, I worked all over the world. The natural thing for a professional is to work in an environment that enables you to work according to the ethics. So many of the engineers were trained in Nigerian refinery, in Nigerian systems. They were not trained overseas. But as time went on, when the government became less and less committed to good standards, many of the people who still have their conscience will want to migrate and go and work elsewhere. But now, with someone like me becoming president, everyone is coming home. Even you would come and assist us. Everybody will come to assist us because you would have an environment in which you know that best practices are allowed. You can work free of corruption. You can work according to your conscience. It is not everyone who wants to be banging their head against the wall every day at work. Some will just say, I just want to be a good engineer. I don't want to know all this politics. I'm out of here. So it's for the leadership to bring everyone together. There's no way you can blame a people who have a bad leadership for not being helpful, because the only thing they can do is to try to get political and remove the bad leadership first before you can do anything good. So we are helping with that. We are making sure that at least we help with the political side of the equation to get rid of corrupt leaders and then allow people to flourish. The average Nigerian doesn't want to be political. He wants to be professional. He wants to do his work. And we need to help them to clear the fog so that they can see the front.
Is Britain a problem or a help?
Britain is for the British. And I don't have, they were our colonial master just like they were yours for a time. And they came to Africa in the interest of the British. And when they left, it's also in the interest of the British. I do not begrudge the British for taking care of Britons. My job is to take care of Nigerians and to be friendly with every country of the world and to show character where it is required. It takes character, it takes knowledge to know what the interests of your people, and you can stand firm without being unfriendly to anyone. So I look inwards for an explanation to my problem, because many countries who were under the British, Singapore, India, they've come out and they turn out to be good countries, and they're coming along. So there is no excuse for me. USA used to be British colonies. I don't think you blame the British for your problem nowadays. You probably blame Washington. So that is what I think I would do. I would rather focus on what goes on in Abuja and leave London for secondary analysis.
Okay. I got to tell you, when I was younger, one of my favorite African leaders, because I saw the movie. Now, some people might be surprised about this and others won't be. But there was a movie that came out maybe 30 years ago called Amin, Idi Amin. And the perception that was painted of him was that he was a bad man. But in my opinion, he was like you. He just loved his country. What can we do to change the perceptions that many of us have about Africa? I love Africa. I've been to Ethiopia, I've been to Tanzania, and can't wait to return. I could live there, no problem. But my brothers and sisters in America, we often are watching the news, and the news, unless it is black, is always wrong. They always tell a messed up story about anything black. If it's East Africa, East Baltimore, it's the same thing. Other people paint our picture as ugly. And that's why I do media, to help change that perception. How do we change the perception for other African Americans to understand that Nigeria and the other 53 countries in Africa is home?
Well, there are three ways to change the perspective. One is what we are doing now, talking about Nigeria, talking about Nigeria's attempt to straighten its politics, to have a better leadership, and all of that. Second way to deal with it is to actually do good things on the ground. The media would, especially international media, be focused on the wrong aspects of your country and leave all the achievements behind, and people don't know that a lot is going on. For example, I just informed you that the largest refinery being built currently anywhere in the world is being built in Lagos. You will not see that on mainstream media because that's no news. It is said, I was at National Press Club in Washington a few days ago, and we're discussing the media because I'm also a media owner. And We were discussing the media, and someone said, well, it's a common saying in journalism, when the man buys the dog, that's news. When the dog bites the man, that's no news. So what you want to do is to make sure that in your country, there are less cases of man biting the dog. That will help you to divert the attention of the media to something good. So my goal is that even the worst possible things you could say about Nigeria when I'm president will be good enough for the world to respect the country. So I want to minimize, for example, if we have 80 million kids of school age, and I put 70 million in school, and you still have 10 million out of school, it's a choice of a media to come to Nigeria and say 70 million kids are in school, the country is trying. Or the media may say, oh, the country is terrible, 10 million kids are out of school. My job is not to react to either of the two. My job is to see that every kid is in school. So when you come back next time, you have 80 million kids and 80 million are in school. Then you may say the schools are not good enough. Then I work on the school to make them better. So you keep criticizing me. I don't react to your criticism other than using it as a ladder to climb to the next stage. That is the attitude, not to complain about the media not portraying us well. Uh, Thirdly, it's for Nigerian government and other African government. I spoke to the AU ambassadors and all of that, and I said that our job is to engage this diaspora concretely, not engage them in terms of ceremony, engage them occasionally. So if, for example, through the Doni Glover show, I'm informing you that there is a diaspora bond in which any diasporan person, any African American or anyone who loves Nigeria, who loves Africa, can invest part of their IRA, part of their investment in, and you can see the progress. If you have a stake in the country or on the continent, you would understand the continent better. So it should go beyond occasional talking to black media, occasional doing town halls or coming to ceremonies. We should have concrete links between the continent and our people back here. And with this, you would be able to know what's going on because you have a stake in that place. There should be exchanges. There should be doctors here who, during their summertime or lean time, they go to Africa. There is a network that they can contact. That's what we need to do. And my ambassador all over the world will be the ambassador of black people. They will be able to reach the communities. Wherever you are in America, every black church, every black movement, every black media. I don't know when last any African ambassador came on your show to talk about their country. So if they don't do that, how are our people going to know?
Great point. So when you look at the new science, the new technology, the smartphones, many of the world's greatest engineers and scientists are there in Nigeria. You know that we cannot make this phone without natural resources out of the ground.
That's correct.
Where do you see Nigeria in the future as it relates to that technology? On the cutting edge, in the front?
Okay. What I see is that in science, technology, engineering, and maths, Nigerians are doing well. But we have an opportunity to produce more people. I just mentioned to you that there are, in the US, 75% of the doctors, black doctors, are Nigerians. But what I didn't tell you is that for every black doctor you have here, there are 10,000 people who are more brilliant than them that are out of school in Nigeria. So my job is to make sure I keep that brain trust going on, that brain factory that produces doctors, engineers, journalists, all sorts of scientists. I keep that funnel, producing more people. So if that goes, there is no limit to what the country can be. Secondly, I create infrastructure that can enable Nigerians to repeat at home what they do overseas. For example, there are a few factories in Nigeria producing telephone now, so that is already been done in Nigeria. So, and what we need to do is to see that the rare earth minerals and all the other things that is taken away from Africa being used elsewhere, we are able to retain the factories back home. After all, the Chinese just don't allow Apple to bring the Chinese to come and work in California. You set up the factory in China, and then they produce the stuff for you, then you can take it to wherever you're going. That model can be adopted for many of the things that African raw materials are being used for. We can insist that the factory in Africa so that the value chain uh, can be increased and the money can circulate a number of times before it leaves Africa. So that we can do, but you need a stable, visionary, committed, corruption-free government to do that. Because the answer that they're going to give you immediately is to say, we're going to wire unbelievable amount of money into your Swiss account if you let us get away with it. You have to have the character to say, I don't need that. So I need to have this for my people. And once you have that strength of character, Africa will be free from all kinds of problems we have now.
You know, we have a similar problem with black politicians here in America, and it's always over a little bit of money. Not even a lot of money, a little bit of money. So getting back to science technology, what do you foresee? Where do you see Nigeria in the future? I don't know if you saw the movie Black Panther.
Yeah, certainly.
Thinking forward, I like to see a future with us in it. For instance, they always have these movies. Elon Musk, he wants to go to the moon. The problem I have with this is we cannot make excuses to dirty up the planet. Like with the petroleum. The petroleum, if we are not careful, can kill us handling it. How do we secure our place in the future?
Well, we secure our place in the future by doing what we've been doing and doing it better, which is that even during slavery in America, the production machine that created the wealth for America were the black unpaid workers, forced labor. And even at that, many things were still being invented by blacks who were not allowed to go to school. Washing machine, street lights, all sorts of things. So we have within us that ability to contribute. So instead of Booker T. Washington having a small institution to let the black express their talents, we have a whole continent that we can use to do that. And our job as leaders is to go and use that continent as our laboratory to experiment what black people can contribute to the world. So whether it's science, technology, engineering, math, arts, sculpture, production, entertainment, you need to have a workspace, a creative space, not a place of horror. So I need to turn my country to a creative space for black people. Once you create that creative space, even the leader cannot predict the future. But you would know that the future will be great because every child who is on the street of Africa hungry today is a potential Nobel Prize winner. Every child you see, where you saw a small family in Gary, Indiana, just carrying the Bible and walking around, you never knew that was Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and all the greats that came out of that one family. So you want to create just a paradise for talents, and you never know what will come out of it. But what I know is that history has shown that the greatest endowment in the world is in the head of black people and in our heart. And what we need is an environment that allows us to bring all of that out. And so far, from slavery to colonialism, to neo-colonialism, to corruption. It's like we've been wrapped in a black, damp blanket, put on the ground, and covered with heavy concrete. So we need to break out of that and be able to breathe. And once we're able to breathe, we'll express ourselves. The African government so far, especially the Nigerian government so far, does not behave differently from the plantation owner of the past. Exploitation, exploitation, exploitation of the people. Exploitation, exploitation of the resources. Exploitation and despoilation of the environment. So when you have a shepherd government that wants to tend to the people, that says, I'm a servant of the people, and I want them to express themselves, you will not look at Nigeria from the point of view of oil, diamond, gold. You will look at Nigeria for the beauty and exquisiteness of the people of Nigeria and what their mind can create. You've been listening to Nigerian music. These are kids in the inner cities of Nigeria, of Lagos, Warri, Port Harcourt, Kano, who are now coming out producing music. If you go to places where they come from, every kind of challenge is there. But they are taking our music global. Nigeria is making more money from music globally today than it made from oil in the past. So we can work on so many other talents that our people have. Do you know that the people who got frustrated out of Nigeria and left the country to work in the US and other places sent back home $25 billion a year?
I was gonna ask you about that.
But that is just on an unplanned organic flow. It is not a structured remittance. That it's not like the country is sponsoring the people out. It's not that the country is training them for specific industries. Now, and you will see so many startups that started in Lagos, in a place called Yaba in Lagos. They are now attracting funding from equity funds all over the world for hundreds of millions of dollars, some for a few $billion. So what I'm letting you know is that as for potentials, Africa has no shortage. Nigeria gas industry, Nigeria gas reserve is 30 times, not 3 times, 30 times the entire GDP of America. Just the Nigeria gas industry. So imagine if you had a government that just had enough sense, enough character, enough intuition to deal with managing 10% of that. Then you will see that Nigeria, like it used to do in the past, will be lending money to the IMF, not borrowing money. And Nigeria will be employing Chinese, not borrowing money from China. So that is the goal.
I'm glad you understand that. That is very refreshing to hear. When I was there in Africa, I did see the Chinese building roads, and quite honestly, it bothered me. When I read about in South Africa, 13 Chinese police stations, it bothered me. I cannot let you have police stations in my country. That's absurd, but this is a new world. You mentioned the music industry. Who are some of your most famous entertainers in the new generation? Is there a rapper named Teddy?
Yeah, there are a couple of them, including the one you mentioned. But so many, I'm a politician, so if I mention some, I don't mention some. There are fans.
No, I don't want you to get it,
but you will find that we have great ones nominated who are every year Grammy nominees. There are many of them that produce music that's sold all over the world. Davido, of course, Wizkid, of course, the Burna Boy, of course, so many of them. I do apologize, we have a short time here. If I don't mention your favorite musician, I have respect for every musician coming out of Nigeria, Puerto Rican, Sheishe, so many of them. Nigeria produces very great musicians. Dozens of them are on the international stage. Even the older ones like Sonny Ade and Co are still on the beat. So Nigeria has a lot to contribute, and I think that even many of my favorite musicians are still back home in Nigeria, and I know they are still going to come on the world stage. The world will still discover them. So there is no shortage of God blessings in terms of human, material, and environmental resources for Nigeria. What we have lacked is good governance. And for good governance, why do we lack it? We don't lack it because we don't have the skill. We lack it because we have not shown the character. Good governance requires that you show character. You must, as a leader, be like our ancestors. The king used to eat last. The king used to worry if his people had no home. If there was war, the king would die first. The king would be in front of the war. The king would not be home sending other people's kids to go and die. So if there was a shortage of food, the king would invite everybody to come and eat in the palace. So the king knew that he was number one servant. So these politicians are following Europeans. They are behaving like colonial masters. They are behaving like overlords. So I need to come and be president. And for the first time in forever, Nigerians will see how humble a leader can be, how self-sacrificing a leader can be, and that a leader can live very simply. You can be an ordinary man leading a great country, but you cannot be a great man leading an ordinary country. Now, the country has to be great.
Prince, what is one of your favorite books?
Well, I can say to you, my favorite book is the American Constitution. Why? Because from it, you can see the aspiration of a people. And you can see how immediately you fall short of that aspiration. You can see where you say, we the people. Yet, you don't have women, you don't have majority of your citizens there. And you can see the journey that a country and a people can consistently travel over a quarter of a millennium. See that lighthouse of democracy and struggling to get there. And every generation, when you make 3 steps forward, someone is dragging you 4 steps backward. But you are still on that journey. And if Nigeria should look at that, our constitution is a better version of the US Constitution. If you take the two side by side, the Nigerian Constitution actually, for a lawyer, is a better document. But the original document you're using for comparison, the American Constitution, even with all the best efforts, with all the marches on Washington, with all the marches on Alabama, with all the Supreme Court judgments, America is still struggling to get to where it can keep some of those promises. And many of them have not been kept. So it's a lesson, it's a humbling lesson for leaders of emerging democracy like mine to know that the journey is far. But you need to keep your eye on that price, which is that you are driving your people every day closer to the promise.
So, Prince, I got a very important question. This is for me, myself. How far back can you go? I can trace back my history to about 1835, 1850 on my father's side, my great-grandmother. But there are not a lot of records. Are you able to go far back in your family's history?
Yeah, because maybe I'm lucky because I come from the royal family. I'm a prince. So I'm able to do up to 1,200 thereabout back. So
1,000 years?
1,200 years. Because
1,200 years? Wow.
Yeah, because in our kingdom, which is a subset of another kingdom, we came from Oyo in 1530, in 1514 actually, to where we are now. So I will know each person whose father was, whose son was, how many years they live, and who's gave back to who. So, and when we go back to Shango in Oyo, then we can trace back and to Oduduwa and all the rest of them. So I know my family history, when you were born, how many years you live, who was around, and all of that. So it helps. And I believe that with DNA technology now having advancement, you can actually do more research on that. I think the reason why Africans have not discovered much is because we haven't done investment in the scholarship that will help with that. Then the average black person is struggling with basic living of present times. So it sounds academic and exotic to worry about your ancestry. But I believe that we can invest more in that sector. In fact, as president of Nigeria, I'm having a heritage department in our Ministry of Culture, whose job is just to help us with this heritage thing. And you can see how we intermingle. When I look at myself in Nigeria, you will see that I have Yoruba blood in me, I have Benin blood in me, I have Nupe blood in me. So when you have Igala blood in you, you have all the other ethnicity wrapped together because until European anthropologists came, our people were not categorizing themselves in ethnic or tribal lines. They were just dealing with families. So you will not have Yoruba people were not called Yorubas until other people started writing, because you don't look at yourself in that regard. It's other people who look at you from outside and try to categorize. So we are intertwined and we are interlinked. There are many communities in the Plateau state of Nigeria and in the Savannah belt of Nigeria who came all the way from South Africa some 100 years ago. So I believe that when you check the records, when I go to the British Library, I was able to see the records of my great-great-grandfather who died on Monday, 13th September 1880, who was the ruler in my place. And there were dispatches. So there are a lot of records kept in various places that can enable you to piece your history together for the purpose of directing your future. Because the essence of knowing about the past is for you to pick lessons and courage from the past. Because many people you see walking the street of Baltimore were children of kings and queens in Africa.
I
And
know
they
I
have
come
that,
from a king.
exactly. And you have that.
I know it.
And the lesson to learn from that is the nobility, not the majesty. People learn about the majesty of the king. People ask me questions all around, especially in America. What does it mean to be a prince and all of that? It just means work. It means discipline. It means self-control. There isn't this concept of kingship in Africa is not about privileges. It's about the ethos and ethics of what you have to learn. It's about self-control. It's about putting yourself last. It's about humility. Because people already know that you're going to be king one day if you don't die and if other princes don't beat you to it. But it is the humility that you display that will make people to love you. It is the service that you show. And you show your service in small things, being useful, not about looking for a grand thing to be a hero. One of the mistakes of modern actualization is that we tell our kids that the hero has to be like Batman. A hero has to be like Spider-Man. But a hero actually can be someone who is doing simple things that keep the world going.
Teachers, like teachers.
Like teachers, like firefighters, like community organizers, like people who do intervention in social services, like the doorman who makes sure that everyone is safe, and those basic things. And you can have a hero, a taxi driver, who is feeding his family and looking after someone who has a disability and who is doing it with dignity without complaining. So these are heroes that build society. But when you write history, you write about the emperor who conquered one place, but somebody prepared the food that the emperor ate that day. Somebody took care of the wounded. Somebody looked after the kids when they went to war. So we need to let people know that in your own private corner, you can be a hero. People look at me and say, well, you want to be president. I've been president of small things in the past. I've taken care of many things. So it's not about glory. It's not about the pomp and pageantry. It's about keeping the light on. The light has to be on in Africa.
You mentioned the Yoruba. Many African Americans are probably Yoruba, and I learned a word, Oludumare.
Yeah, Olodumare, yes. That's God. That's the concept of God, the universal deity in Yoruba consciousness.
Okay, can you tell us how you got the marking on your face?
The marking, it's a sign of family. It's a way Africans used to do it. It's when you this shows that I have some nupe. It's in our family we are Yoruba people, but with the ruling house has some nupe component, and they use this to remind you. So anyone, even nupe people who see me, even though they are not Yoruba people, once they see that, they say that they know you have that relationship. It's a way of, like a passport. In those days, it's like a passport. It's also a marking of rank. So anyone who sees that knows your rank and all of that. So it's an African tradition. It's a permanent tattoo. It's like when you're walking around in the army, they know a lieutenant general just by the rank, by the PIP. So that's how it's done. These are ways Africans communicate. Like we used to use the drum because we had no telephone, but the drum was our means of communication, and so many other things that arise from our culture. And the royal families try to keep that because that's our cultural heritage.
Okay, so when you become president, Miss Prince, I need an office to do my news operation. Where will I be?
You will be anywhere you want to be. You will be in Abuja, you'll be in Ondo, you'll be in Kano, you'll be in Enugu. When you come to Nigeria, you will know that it's a different world. There is a variety. You will be spoiled for choice. And Nigerian people are loving people. Do not judge us by the transgressions of our government. Look at us for who we are. You cannot find sweeter, more accommodating, more creative, more loving people than Nigerian anywhere in the world. For many years, we won the happiest people on the planet until recently, when the terrorists and all the other bad actors came into our country. But we will get the country back, and we will make the world a better place. The world, whoever is living on the planet Earth today, will have cause to say one day, thank God for the Nigerians. Thank God for the Nigerians. Because we will make the world a better place. Starting with ourselves.
I know we're almost out of time. I have to tell you, though, I want to see more African Americans involved in Africa. I saw what Muammar Gaddafi tried to do and bring the continent together. I think I should be the first president of the United States of Africa. I just wanted to tell you that one day you might see my face on television and I will be running for the president of the United States of Africa. Can we actually have that?
We can have that. Why we haven't had that, there are many reasons, but that's what we are heading to. So we will have that, but we don't have to have that before we solve our current problems. But it is a journey we will need to travel to. That takes me back to what I said regarding my reference for the American Constitution, the contradictions in it, the aspirational content that sounds laughable. When you have slave owners saying we are all free people, it's laughable, but it is an aspiration. The fact that a slave owner can remember that freedom is good, it's a good thing. Because imagine if he succumbed to his guilt at that moment and say, well, freedom is not good. So it is always good to have aspirations, because now you have a journey that you have to take, and your soul takes that journey before you, because you are committed, you've said it, it's come to life. So the United States of Africa was an aspirational thing by Kwame Nkrumah and other great leaders of Africa. But it may sound laughable when you see how disjointed Africa is today, but we have African Union. I was at the AU mission the other time, and the ambassador, my own sister, was able to take me through, and I can see that she and I have nothing to disagree about, and I could be president of the United States of Africa, and she could be vice president. It could be vice versa. You could be. So the good thing is that seed has been planted in our heart, and we now need, while doing any other thing that we need to do now to keep kids in school, to feed people, to do other things, we need to now start traveling there. What Africans will not take is you mouthing that slogan are not giving good governance right now where you are. So we need to give good governance where we are now while our mind is working towards that goal.
Prince, I know your time is valuable. Would you like to make any final comments, anything that I have not touched? There's so much I want to touch, but I respect your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you also to Marcia Jews for making sure this happened. But I give you the floor if there's anything you would like to add.
What I want to say to all Black people in the world is that there isn't anything wrong with being Black. There isn't anything impossible that we cannot do. The challenge we have is the challenge every civilization has, which is that sometimes where you want to be, when you look at where you are, they look like a contradiction. But there is no contradiction in that. You keep dreaming, you keep aiming, and you keep doing the best you can do now. For Nigerians who are in the diaspora, Nigerians who are home and abroad as well, and Nigeria, particularly in the United States, I've come here to talk to interest groups within and outside the US government. I've come here to let the world know that Nigeria is committed to democracy, and I'm running to be president of Nigeria in order to deliver the promises of our founding fathers for a prosperous Black nation where no one is in want, no one is in fear, and everyone can live their dream. I will manage the resources of the country with extreme care and accountability, and that the US government and other people who have influence in Nigeria should press on the Nigerian government and other institutions to ensure that a free, fair, and credible election is conducted next year, and that you should work with us and give us any kind of assistance you can give us while we are making our journey towards democracy. And that in Nigeria, I've said farewell to poverty and insecurity, and will provide all the enabling environment for African Americans and other friends of Nigeria to come to Nigeria and make contribution. We will build roads and infrastructure. We will build schools for the kids. We will give a stable and free education. We would also provide healthcare for our people, and we will have accountability. And above all, we will provide security and get rid of the bandits and terrorists in our country. These are doable, and this will be done. And the new generation has risen in Nigeria that wants to get rid of bad politics and bad politicians that come with it to a more accountable, creative, and involving, participatory, youthful government that I will lead. That is my mission in America, and I'm going back home to continue on that journey till we have the presidential election in February 25, 2023. That is the mission in America.
Prince Adebayo, we thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you the absolute best. Whenever you would like to come back on the show, it's one phone call, and it's
Thank you. I'll be back. It's been a pleasure. I'll be back.
And I want you to know that a lot of African Americans support you. I don't know everybody, but don't believe what they tell you on the television. I am in Baltimore, and Baltimore is a beautiful city.
Certainly.
We have challenges like anywhere else, but if you ever come here, I don't know if you eat crab cakes, but we have the greatest crab cake in the world.
The best crab cake for me is the Maryland crab cake.
All day long.
Yes.
All the best to you. Thank you, Prince.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been watching the Donnie Glover Show. Stay tuned for the Black USA Morning Show. Have a great day.